So first up, St. Peter's father dies in hospital parking lot after family says hospital refused treatment. Right. This is in St. Peter's. Right. Sadie Bell says her husband David died in the parking lot of a Barnes Jewish hospital in St. Peter's during his third time at the hospital seeking medical treatment. She says, I felt like what he was going through was urgent, and I thought that's what emergency rooms were for. She told News 4 the week of January 8th, she took her husband to the ER twice after he'd been complaining about severe chest pain. Both times, Bell said medical staff refused to admit him, only prescribing him with ibuprofen. Then David, who was also the director for Central County Fire, was rushed back to the same hospital after having difficulty breathing at work for a third time. I called his fireman because one of the firemen took him. Which hospital did you take him to? He said, I went on and took him back to Barnes Jewish because I knew that's where you all had been going. She says, oh, I wish you hadn't have done that. I wish you hadn't taken him there. And he asked, why not? She said, every time that we've taken him, all they did was give him ibuprofen and send him home. I'm really thinking they're missing something. When she got to the hospital, she said her husband was sitting outside in a wheelchair after begging doctors to run tests and admit him. She said they refused. He said, ma'am, he's already been here twice for the same thing. We've already diagnosed him. From there, she said she was preparing to take him to another hospital, but it was too late. We got halfway to the car and he said, oh, Sadie. And I said, baby, what's wrong? Belle said her husband took his last breath in the parking lot and a good Samaritan tried giving David CPR. Belle believes her husband received a lack of treatment because doctors and staff dismissed him. National medical reports state African Americans often have higher mortality rates because they don't receive the same health care as their white counterparts. She says, I don't know what they thought, and I don't understand. I just don't understand why they wouldn't help him. Numbers of numbers from the American Medical Association show Black Americans' mortality rate is 24% higher than white Americans. One of the main contributing factors to the AMA points out is that doctors are not addressing pain levels from Black patients. Now, we've seen this, right? And I've talked about this in the last year, how there's been documentation that medical practitioners believe that Black folk are not in pain and don't experience pain the way whites do. And that has had an impact on how they treat Black patients. In this case, it cost this man his life, right? And this is something I've seen on a variety of levels. When my wife was still alive, as I've said, I think several times on my show, that she had sickle cell and she had the most severe form of it. And when we would go to the hospital, and I don't care if it was a hospital we've been to 100 times, which was the case when we lived in Claremont, I would take her to the Pomona Hospital. When we moved to Fresno, I would take her to the hospital. We got her set up in the one in Fresno. But the couple of days before she passed away, she had an incident in class at Fresno State, and her classmates took her to a hospital in Clovis. If you've never been to Fresno, Clovis is pretty much considered the white area of the region, upper scale, so to speak. But in taking her to that hospital, she got really the kind of treatment we always go back and forth about. And that is they treated her like she was drug seeking, right? So basically, when you come in with sickle cell pain, their argument is they can't really assess whether or not you're really in pain, and they don't know if you're just there trying to find drugs. And on many an occasion, I've had doctors and nurses ask me if I was there, if I was putting her up to acting like she was in pain so I could get drugs, while at the same time grilling her about the same kind of thing. That particular day, I actually had to call her childhood doctor. I mean, I had to go through so many doctors to verify her condition that by the time they finally gave her pain medication, the amount was so low it did nothing. They literally had to put her into a coma because they couldn't manage her pain. Now, I'm saying all of this because at the end of the day, the way Black folk are treated in the medical industry is subhuman in many instances, right? It's a lot of issues where accusations that are stereotypically based tend to shape how people are treated. And I mean medically as well as socially, as well as just coming in and being regarded. Now, that's not been the case across the board in every situation. But when you're looking at a situation like the one I just talked about here with David Bell dying in the parking lot, in a wheelchair, it's ridiculous. And this happens a lot. It's just a question of whether or not it's reported on and we even get to talk about it. But this is one of the kind of things that goes on a regular basis, right? Mark Tuggle, I see you. I got you. I've just been a little inundated, but I'll get to that. Yeah, but this is ridiculous, and these kind of stories break my heart. And really, one of the main reasons that these stories break my heart is, like most of you, I know how easily this could be me, and that's one of the things that gets to me. So, blessings to this family. I don't know what to say other than I'm sorry for your loss and my condolences.